Welcome. What is going on? I am Matt O'Leary, going to be hanging out with you for a little bit on this lovely, beautiful, sunny Sunday afternoon. I think after this, I need to go touch some grass, be outside for a little bit. Too much inside during the Aaron Rodgers watch. It's beautiful today, but unable to go live later. Usually I like to go on in the evening. So I figured, you know what? I still want to talk to you guys. And I still think we have some important things to discuss. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me a little bit earlier today than usual. But really, kind of what I wanted to get into here was this big debate that is going on. And I know we kind of did it last week a little bit too, but there's a massive debate going on right now with what it's going to take to land Aaron Rodgers. And the reason why I think it's important to bring it up yet again, which I know it feels like we've talked about this for months and months and months, but the Elijah Moore trade, I do think kind of sets the Jets up for a really nice spot because they could handle this a few different ways. And I'll share this tweet up on screen because I think it was funny. I don't agree with it, but Kyle Malzahan, I think Malzahn, how you pronounce his last name, he is a reporter covering the Green Bay Packers. So that should be your hint for where we're at here. He goes, the original thing was a TMZ article, which is Alan Lazard tells TMZ Sports Aaron Rodgers was a big reason he's now a Jet, adding that he has zero concern that a New York trade for the quarterback would fall through. I also agree with that. I don't think it is going to fall through. There are some people who are still very concerned. I'm not one of those people. But Kyle comes in and says the more open Jets players talk about Aaron Rodgers / Jets trade, the more leverage the Packers hold. If I'm Gunkerst and company, I'm loving these comments. I don't buy that. But then again, like the first reply here, I also don't buy this either. Packers hold the contract of $60 million, nearly 40-year-old quarterback on the verge of retirement unless he gets traded to the Jets. Green Bay has no leverage. They should be paying the Jets to take Rodgers off their hands. See, that the last line loses me. They should be paying the Jets to take Rodgers off their hands. Moral of the story, I think these teams should be able to come to some sort of happy medium here, right? Just some sort of, okay, like this is a fair, reasonable trade for both teams going into this. For both sides of the aisle here. It's fine. We're able to work through this. But the reason why I think the Elijah Moore trade helps is because my belief, I still think it's going to be a second round pick this year. So you would still then have a second round pick if you are trading one of those picks in the Aaron Rodgers trade. I had a Packers fan reach out to me and was like, oh, now do you think it's going to be both second rounders? No, not really. I think that would really surprise me if that were the case. If it ended up being both the second rounders in this year's draft to get it done for Aaron Rodgers. But I think this is more of, hey, they don't have a long-term solution at center. I think they're going to put an emphasis on trying to land their center, and whether that's John Michael Schmitz, who is one of my favorites, Whippler. You have Avila. There are 3 or 4. Tippmann's another one. There are 3 or 4 centers who are probably going to go within the first couple rounds. And obviously, now you don't have that third round pick because you packaged it with Elijah Moore to get that second. So it's essentially a pick swap. You're moving up. I think it's like 32 spots, something like that. Not a math guy, never claimed to be. And you lose Elijah Moore in that. But I would think one of those picks more than likely is going to Green Bay, and the other is going to be an offensive line, probably center selection. And even this is a little bit interesting too, and we'll get into your comments and stuff. Don't worry. I appreciate you guys. Once again, I want to make sure you guys know I appreciate you hanging out with me on this beautiful Sunday. Also, I think the Jets could theoretically, if it really came down to it, move back, acquire more capital, this being the first round, and then move that pick, and you'd still be potentially okay because you have other capital, and then maybe potentially trade up into the first round to land your John Michael Schmitz or something like that at the back half, because the Giants pick 25th. I think there's a good chance that they take him there. I know some people think he's going to make it to the second round, and sure, maybe he does. Maybe he makes it all the way down to 42. The closer we get and the more things come out, I feel like that'd be surprising to me. So you might have to move up to get him, but moral of the story, I just really can't stand the leverage talk, and I just kind of want this to be over with. But I do think again that the Elijah Moore trade plays a big factor in this because the Jets and Joe Douglas specifically are setting themselves up for where they could be, okay, if they trade a second rounder and still be able to add to this team. Now, after losing Elijah, you got to add another wide receiver. That's obvious, and who knows whether that's Odell or maybe you're flipping some pick for another veteran like I don't know who's on the market. Hopkins, Sutton, guys like that. Maybe they just keep Corey Davis. That would, I think, be a little bit surprising, but I guess it has to be on the table here. Um, yeah, I think the Jets kind of just protecting themselves in a sense. So anyway, let's get into the comments. Who do we got with this? John's hanging out with us. He says Green Bay brass in big trouble. The worst nightmare is Jets win a championship with the Jets. I guess he means Rodgers win a championship with the Jets. That'd be nice. That'd be a good problem to have if you're a Jet fan. See, like Alex says, fifth rounder. That's all. About what? That that's all it's going to take for Rodgers. I'd be incredibly surprised if that's the case. Incredibly surprised if that's the case. MJ Dunn says, a little XFL on the TV, some Jets talk on the laptop. Good Sunday. Love it. That's a great way to spend your Sunday. Thank you so much, MJ Dunn, for hanging out with us. Jesse P brings up the swap. Okay, here we go. Swap 13 and 15 with the Packers, a second round pick in 23, a conditional pick in 24 for Rodgers. That I'd be willing to do. Absolutely. You move down a couple of spots. You still have that first round pick. You're giving up the second rounder this year, which is kind of expected, and a conditional pick next year. Jesse P, I'm with you, man. I think that's a good one. V-Man says, thought I'd let you know the Aaron Rodgers good luck charm I put by the Jet to the practice field is still there. Sent you a video to confirm. All right, let's see.
Here's the sign.
Okay, let's pull it. Let's pull up V-Man. Let's see. All right, here we go.
Update. Here's the sign. And as you can see, our good luck charm.
There he is. Look.
There.
V-Man coming in the clutch. I love it. I think there's a big reason why the trade went through. Thank you, V-Man. Well, I mean, a trade, I guess, technically hasn't gone through, but why it's trending in that direction, why it's going to be that way. Thank you so much. Joe says Green Bay has zero leverage. They're waiting till June 1st so they can spread the cap hit. I don't think they're waiting to June 1st. I think it would be silly for them to let this go past the draft. And I think it gets done before then. The draft night, I guess, absolute latest, but the owner's meeting's coming up, and I know they don't technically have an owner. I would think that's probably a good time for something to go down. The owner's meeting. Simple Eats. I love this one. A second this year, a conditional third. That could become a first if we make the Super Bowl. And he plays along with Corey Davis and a pick swap, and the absolute most is over to Green Bay. Yeah. Send over Corey. Like, that's probably someone you're going to cut anyway, right? So you absolutely can't, be too upset if that's the move, right? If you have to send him over that way, you do it. And a pick swap, sure. If they want 13 and you get 15, then you do it. Exactly. See, Ronald says not trading 13, so get that idea out of your head. See, I don't think they're trading 13 to get, unless it's like the pick swap, like we mentioned above, to get 15 as part of it. Round one pick being a part of this, like straight up round one without like a swap or something like that, highly, highly, highly unlikely. I agree with you there, Ronald. No way. Simple Eat says, think 42 and a 6 could move us up a few spots for JMS if we get falling. Let's see. You know what? It depends on how far up that they have to go. Let's pull up the NFL draft value calculator. It's Draft Tech has a good one. So share this tab. I'm just going to minimize you so we can see the full thing. All right, let's pop that up on the screen. So the Jets' 6th round pick is worth 7 points. That's really not going to move you up. That's not going to be enough to move you up. The 5th rounder might be 34 and a half. So that could potentially bump you up how high? Maybe to 38 or 39? Do they have the four? Yeah, they have the fourth rounder, which is 70 points. So that bumps you probably where? The top of the second, maybe the Indies pick. But in order to get back into the first round, it would probably be so like let's just say, I don't know, what's a good number? Do you want to get in front of the Giants? Maybe 740 to get to 24. So that would be pick 42. Let's say I don't think it would be both second rounders, but let's say a second rounder and what's the fourth? No, 70, that's not going to be enough. So it might have to be both second rounders to get up into the first round, but you're probably going a touch higher and maybe you're taking a later pick back. Like maybe you're getting maybe not a third, but maybe a fourth round pick. The 2 seconds for pick 24 and do they have a pick in this round? And 127? Something like that, maybe? Or 121? Yeah, now I think we're cooking. Both second rounders for 24 and where is it? 121. I think that's probably your move to move up to get him. Blitz Crew asks if Carter slips out of the top 5, do you think we trade up for him? I don't. I know. To be fair, that is a big position of need. That I don't think they grab him. I think there's a good chance he falls. And supposedly, Connor Rodgers, who someone who I trust with the draft stuff, was saying that there's a chance he could fall out of the top 10. And if that's the case, I don't know, that rubs me the wrong way. That scares me a little bit. He's obviously one of the better talents in this draft, but sketchy what's going on. Sean says, good evening, Matt from Scotland. Any thoughts on a backup quarterback that isn't Zach? Thank you, Sean, for checking in with us. Yeah, I mean, there's still some options for them. A cheap veteran on the market, I would say, is absolutely still on the table. Someone reached out to me and asked me about it, but when they signed Joe Flacco in 2020, that was until I think it was like May or June. It was a while. NFL free agents. Yeah, maybe we'll do some free agency tracker. Let's pull this up. Quarterback, all statuses available, all types, UFA. Let's see. I'm just gonna minimize you so we can see the full thing. Maybe who's gonna come? Yeah, it'd have to be someone like pretty cheap down here. Trevor Siemian, maybe. Bridgewater's going to be a little bit costly, I would think. Hoyer, Josh Johnson, the never ending. I don't want no part of Nathan Peterman. He's just awful, and so is Trace McSorley. Yeah, maybe like Rippin or Hoyer or Simeon, one of those guys. Gabbert has familiarity with the San Francisco system, so maybe Blaine Gabbert for like $1 million or $2 million. I would say that's on the table. There we go. Nick says today's the first day of the owners' meetings. So maybe we see something this week. I mean, we'll have to be on the lookout here. We'll have to be on the lookout for something coming down the pike. I agree. I think this is the time. If it's going to happen before the draft, now would be the time. If you want JMS, we need to get ahead of the Steelers. Where are they? 18, 19? They're 17. I don't think they're going to take him at pick 17, but they pick 32. They could absolutely wait till pick 32, but I don't think they would take him at 17. Or King likes Whipler. I like that. Jesse P says Whipler over JMS. I wouldn't say that, but I'm not anti Whipler. I think he's definitely someone who's going to go. I would say in the second round. So if you wait there and wait to 42, I think he would be there for that. Ew. I am absolutely anti drafting Stetson Bennett in the later rounds. He's an older prospect, a very older prospect. Um, I'm not a fan. Daniel says, greetings from Australia. Your opinion on Zeke? Keep up the great work, Matt. Thank you so much, Daniel, for your question. Thank you for hanging out with us on this lovely day. It would have to be veteran minimum, and the only role that I really see him in is a goal line or short yardage back. He's pretty much washed other than that. So if you think I don't even think he'd be a serviceable RB2. I think he's a RB3 or 4 at this point in his career. If you need someone on the 5-yard line and in, that's your guy. If you need someone on 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, that's your guy. But if you're looking for that explosiveness and good hands out of the backfield, that's not really him anymore. He could pass protect too, so that I guess bumps him up a little bit. But I don't really want to spend a whole lot of money. That's not really a priority for me. If they do it, I'm not going to go nuts over it. It's not something that I'm going to bang the table for. I don't think it's like an absolute necessity. Oh my God, they have to. But if they signed them, okay, I could understand why they would do it. Emanon says, hit that like. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Hit that. Make sure to hit that like button if you're hanging out with us in here. Kevin says, if for whatever reason this trade does not happen to the Jets, know the price for Matthew Stafford come draft day and have been talking behind the scenes since why the accumulation of draft picks. I don't think that's it. I don't think they're going to trade Matthew Stafford. It would be an insane cap hit, an absolutely insane cap hit for the Rams to move off him. I don't trust him with the back injury. I think that ship has sailed. It's going to be Aaron Rodgers. It's just a matter. It's when, not if. Jay Ruckert, what's up? He sends in the first super chat. Thank you so much. Says people calling JD whack for letting Mike White walk. I think he did it for more playtime with Tua being a question mark, and no state tax can't blame the dude though. Yeah, I'm not crying over losing Mike White. I mean, he was a nice spot starter, and that's the role that he's going to Miami for. He'll probably be a spot starter with the injury history of Tua. Mike White's own personal injury history isn't great. He's someone who's gotten banged up a few times over the last couple of years. But if you need someone to come in and start in a pinch, he can play. Is he going to beat out Tua for the starting job? No, he's not a threat to him in that sense. But if Tua has to miss 2-3 games, can you afford to have Mike White start a couple games for you and survive? Yeah, you absolutely could. And like, let's be honest, for that deal and for what he was able to get, do you want to pay him that to sit behind Rodgers? I don't. I understand why they moved on. He's from Florida. I think he grew up a Dolphins fan. It makes a ton of sense. Thank you again for the super chat, Jay Ruckert. Much appreciated. Matt, do you think JD will wait till after the draft for Aaron, keep all of our picks and offer first next year? I would love an offensive tackle and a center with our 3 early picks. I would be really surprised if he waited that long. I think something gets done sooner before the draft. If that's what it ended up having to be, then sure. I'm okay with giving up next year's first round picks, but the value is more on the 2023 draft. The 2024 draft doesn't really do a whole lot for them. So I think they needed to get done as well before that. But thank you. Ryan's next. He has a super chat. Thank you so much for Ryan. He says, hi, bro. Do you see the Jets trading Zach to the Packers for Rodgers and draft picks and maybe signing Matt Ryan for backup quarterback to the Jets and Ryan signing for a cheap deal? I don't think they would go like that veteran. Now, I think there's a good chance that he could just flat out retire. Like, I think he might just be like done. Zach, I don't think really has a ton of value. If Green Bay wants him, then I have no issue throwing him in that trade. But I think they believe in Jordan Love. They like Love. So I don't see why they would necessarily want Zach. Matt Ryan is an interesting one. Um, I don't think he would. I think he'd want to go to a place where maybe he would have a chance to play. Like, I don't know. What's a good spot for Matt Ryan at this point in his career? A place where maybe there's a young quarterback that's a little bit of a question mark. No, Atlanta signed. That's where Heineke went, right? Tampa Bay obviously just got Baker. I don't know if there's going to end up being a spot for Matt Ryan, but I'd be really surprised if he ends up getting if he ends up coming to the Jets as the backup. Oh crap. Austria, not Australia. That's my bad. I read it quickly. I read it too fast. That's on me. My bad. Do you think we're getting OBJ? Look, I'm not the biggest OBJ fan at this point for what he is. I am a little bit nervous with him not playing at all last year and him having 2 ACLs in the last 3 years, but it feels like the Jets' interest in him is very real. So I think there's a better than average chance that he's a New York Jet. I think there's probably a pretty good chance that he's a Jet. Do I love it? No, but I don't think so. I don't think he's not coming here. I think the Jets are probably going to be the favorite to land him. Oh, totally. I would totally prefer Teddy B than Matt Ryan. I think it's just the cost of Teddy Bridgewater is going to be significantly higher. Matt Ryan to the Commanders, I think. Okay. Did they sign anybody to back? I felt like they signed somebody or they added somebody. Maybe I'm wrong. Could be wrong. Brian Bogan, who's a member of the channel. By the way, if you want to become a member of the channel, you can hit the join button down below. Brian says, wait until after the draft. That way they miss out on this year's picks. There's no need to get it done quick. Let GB Green Bay, almost said Green Bean, sweat it out, and they'll accept the second rounder at the last second. Yeah, I think they want something for this year. So then I agree. I think it's going to end up being that. I don't think they're getting 13 in this deal unless it's the pick swap 13 for 15, but that's a different story. They'll get it done. I'm really not worried about it. I think eventually they get it done. They signed Brissett. Thank you. They did. That's who they landed. He could play. I mean, who knows? Maybe Sam Howell stinks up the joint. Rich M says Cobb and OBJ are coming. Davis and Mims are gone. If they add Cobb, they might still have to keep Mims. Davis, I think, is probably more than likely a cut candidate. Maybe Mims too, but they still need because let's say if both those are gone, Cobb and OBJ in, it would be Garrett Wilson, OBJ, Allen Lazard, Cobb, Hardman. You would probably need one more receiver. So I maybe they draft somebody late or then add a real younger guy, a cheap veteran. But I think Mims has a good chance of sticking. Oh, he fills it in. Wilson, OBJ, Lazard, Hardman, Cobb, and draft a wide receiver. Okay, there you go. Then under that circumstance, yeah, there's a chance that happens. Absolutely, there's a chance that happens. Explosive diarrhea says this Rodgers wait is the longest blue balls ever. It sucks. I think it's gonna get done, but it sucks. Yeah, so you have Diana Rossini sending out a tweet from a little while ago saying in just a few minutes here in Arizona, the NFL's competition committee will meet to review some of their agenda with NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. This is one of several meetings over the next 3 days as owners, general managers, and head coaches gather. Feel like over the next couple days is when you might be able to get something. And then I think it was Tyson retweeted. Yeah, Tyson goes, if the Rodgers trade does not get done this week, the wait will become excruciating. And then Jets today underneath says, I think if it doesn't get done before or during the NFL draft, we are going to be waiting until the summer, which is insane. Yeah, I think this makes sense. Vinny Bad says, "I'll take Nicole over Moore any day." That's I don't know about that. I like Nicole Hardman. I think he is solid. I think he'll be a good wide receiver 4-ish for this team. But I think Elijah Moore will probably be the better receiver. I understand why they did it. I'm not gonna, you don't have to rehash the trade scenario, but I don't know if I buy that. If there's no trade before the draft, expect the Packers to find another trade partner. Who? Which team is going to trade for Aaron Rodgers? There aren't any. It's the Jets are retire. That's it. They're screwed if not. So I don't buy it. Packers GM needs Love to succeed. If he sucks, he may lose his job. They are not getting 13. He will blink before the draft and take a second round pick, which can be a starter to help Love. I agree. Well, take 42 or 43, probably the higher pick, right? And give him 42. What's the difference? You're picking at 43 anyway. And that's it. And you could draft whatever you want, wide receiver, maybe you're taking a tight end, a lineman, whatever. You just got to make sure Love has a good chance to succeed here, which, again, that's your ultimate goal. Your ultimate goal is to make sure that Jordan Love is going to be able to succeed. So take the picks for this year. Because the worst thing you could absolutely do is have him be a question mark. You got to know one way or the other. We should see what Chris Hogan is up to. How old is Chris Hogan now? God almighty. How long was he on the Jets for? A few games, right? 2024 games. He had 14 catches for 118 yards. That was gross. He was not a very good Jet. He played one game started, but 7 games, had 8 catches for 67 yards with Carolina in 2019. Yeah, really. I mean, 2016 was the big one for him. 680 yards and 4 touchdowns. Didn't he have a big playoff game? Yeah, it was the 2016 season. He had 332 yards and 2 touchdowns in 3 games. They always have those randoms who just have an absolute monster in a run. AJ Spaz says, wouldn't mind drafting Jalen Hyatt out of Tennessee or Ronnie Bell out of Michigan as our last wide receiver spot. Okay. I'm not the hugest Hyatt fan. Ronnie Bell is someone that I like, though. I'm good with that. Duncan says, I think we are a bit delusional if we think Davis is part of the trade unless Green Bay really wants him and is not first in line on the waiver wire. Yeah. I mean, I think he's a throw in. I don't really think it's like he's a major, part of it. What would you, if you had to isolate what Corey Davis's trade value alone is, what do you think it is? A 5th round pick? Something around along those lines. So he's a throw in. He's not a major factor of that trade. Sean says, my worry is the roster is looking good only if our injured players stay healthy. There's definitely some question marks, and it's hard to really say what the roster is going to be until we get till after the draft and really as we start to head into free agency. That's really when you start to know what's going to happen, what the roster is going to look like, how some key positions might shake out. So I get that, especially on the offensive line. Offensive line looks like a major question mark right now, but we still have a long ways to go. A long ways to go. Rich M says, Matt, I'm assuming Joe trades back a few pieces in rounds 1 if he has the chance. If so, if Harrison, Brees, or Cansey are in the late first round, who do you have, assuming they go center in the 2nd or 3rd? Kalijah Cansey, I really like a lot. I like him over Anton Harrison. I know they really need offensive tackle help, so I don't love them not going offensive tackle in the first round, but I think Cansey's a better player than Harrison. So if you move back to, I don't know, what are you saying? Maybe 19 or 20? and you do that. I would in this order, I'd probably go Cansey, Harrison, and Breesy, though. Gregory, highly unlikely. He asked for the Jets giving up a first and second for Rodgers. Incredibly unlikely for that to be the case. Freaky Frog 88 says trade back and take Darnell Wright from Tennessee. Take JMS in round 2, BPA from there on. Okay. Yeah, that's a popular one. He's someone who's going to rise. Who's the I'm blanking on him, but who's the other tackle from Ohio State? The big one. I think that's someone who's gonna rise up as well and maybe be a back half of the first rounder, like in the 20s, somewhere around there. Rich M likes that one. Yes, can't see us compared to Donald. I think it's very, very, very high expectations, but he's a good player. And I think if you plug him into next to Quincy on this line, he could have success right away as a rookie. Thank you. Dewan Jones. That's who I was thinking of. Obviously, Paris Johnson is also the other. It's Paris Johnson and Dewan Jones. Paris Johnson's going to go in the top 15. If he's there at 13 and the Jets have that pick, I'm pulling the trigger on him. That's the move that I would go. But if they move back a few spots and you want to go Dewan Jones, now that's someone who I think is just a right tackle. I don't think he is someone who's going to be able to play on the left-hand side, which is fine, which is absolutely fine. But that's what you're getting. You just have to know that's what you're getting. AZ Jet says, we need to steal Jonathan Marshall back from the goddamn Steelers. Go Jets. But seriously? Yeah, I don't know. Did he really play that much for them last year? Not that I recall. Oh, I don't think he played at all. Jonathan Marshall. Oh, no, maybe he did. He played in 4 games with the Jets in 2021. He did not play at all. He's been basically on their practice squad or inactive. If they get him back, fine. If not, that's also fine. AJ says, wouldn't mind Broderick at 13, although we could get him between 13 and 18-ish. Your issue is it depends on who goes in front, right? Because I think Tennessee is absolutely on the board to take one. Pittsburgh is absolutely on the board. Now that's later. What were they? We said earlier they were like they have the 17th or 18th pick in this year's draft. I like him. If the other 2 tackles are gone, then I'd be okay with Broderick at 13. Paris Johnson should never make it past the Bears. I don't disagree with you. If he's there, I think you pull the trigger. But if I'm them, that's who I'd be taking. I don't disagree with you one bit, Gregory. We got another super chat. Thank you so much. We must take an offensive tackle. 39-year-old quarterbacks need top tier protections. We have 3 OTs all coming off an injury. That's why I don't love the idea of moving crazy far back. I would love for it to be one of those top 3 guys. It's those top 3, and then it's a drop off before you get to like the Anton Harrisons of the world. And I feel much more comfortable with one of those 3: Broderick Jones, Peter Skoronski, or Paris Johnson for the New York Jets. I'm with you 100% of the way. I think if you have your first rounder, you're staying put at 13. Even if you move to 15, you got to take a tackle. You have to. Alex says Skoronski, Johnson, and JSN are the only right options at 13. See, I don't necessarily agree with that. Because if those top 2, if Johnson and Skoronski are off the board, then I'd be okay with Broderick over JSN. Genuinely. Ronnie says no way Rodgers wants a rookie center. Probably not, but you could draft one and then have him sit behind Ben Jones or some other veteran for a year and then make that switch. I do think you need to add a veteran. There are still a ton of veterans on the market right now, and that doesn't preclude you from taking one. One being a rookie center as well. Just sit and develop. Jay Boy says trade back to 16, get more picks this year, and trade 16 to Green Bay. I still want that pick in the first round. I still want that first rounder. If you're trading back to 16, what are you getting? Let's see who has pick 16 anyway. NFL draft value chart. Let's see who's got 16. It is Washington. So you would then be getting probably 47, I'd imagine. Or do they have a later second? No. All right. So pick 47 for them to jump up. So then you have 42, 43, and 47. Yeah, that's risky. I still want that first rounder. C. Watson 9 is in here. Says they need to fix that O line. They don't need JSN. I'm with you. They absolutely need more help on the offensive line. Offensive tackle and center is going to be a very popular mock draft pick to the New York Jets in these mock drafts for the next few weeks, and rightfully so. And rightfully so. AZ Jets is back. Says I truly believe 13 needs to be an offensive tackle or a trade back for a different position. Offensive tackle like Harrison out of Oklahoma late in the first round, have Brown start at left tackle and have phenomenal depth. Yeah, you could do it like that. I do think it's a step down from the I think Harrison's a step down from those top 3 guys, but there you can do that. And then you're getting what? If you're moving back and drafting him, you're probably getting another second. So then you can maybe move around and get creative that way. Jody will get offensive line good last year, destroyed with injuries. I'm liking Ben Jones too. That it just makes a ton of sense. You have the Todd Downing connection, right? Who was an offensive coordinator there. Now he's in here as a line coach. I think it makes sense. I think it just there's an obvious connection. I like it. I think it makes too much sense. You do? I did a mock draft last week on PFF and didn't have to pay. That's annoying if that's the case. Do you see us trading back if no OT there at 13 and then taking a center in the late round? If that's how the board fell, then yeah, I could absolutely see that. I could absolutely see that as the case. Hopefully that doesn't happen because I'd be worrying about that position. But yeah, Dan, I agree. I could absolutely see that happening. Rich M points out that defensive tackle is a huge hole. It is. Right now, you have legitimately your only 2 interior guys are Quinnen, great, and then Solomon Thomas, not so great. He really struggled for the Jets last year. You lost Sheldon Rankins. You lost Nathan Shepard. Tanzel Smart's probably going to play a bigger role this year. I would draft one and sign one. Calais Campbell is supposedly meeting with the Jets this week. Great. Sign him. Don't let him leave. And then draft one as well. But you're right, Rich. That is definitely a huge hole. No doubt. I don't know. He kind of showed his hand. Everyone in the world knew he was taking Zach Wilson. AVT was someone who's been mocked to the Jets a million times. Garrett Wilson was a popular mock to the Jets. The really only big draft surprise that he had, I would say, was Sauce at 4. There are a lot of people who wanted Sauce at 4, but I think most people assumed trenches, offensive tackle, or edge rusher at 4. But I don't buy the tip of him not showing his hand. He has in some instances. Absolutely. Everyone knew he was going offensive tackle in 2020. Yeah, I don't think it's a smokescreen. Aren't you concerned with the center who is coming off concussions? Yes, but that's why you also draft one, because if he can't play, then you plug in John Michael Schmitz, Weipler, Avila, whoever. Owners meeting is coming up this week, Ricky. That's big over the next few days, 3 days, I believe. Owners, general managers, and head coaches are all going to be together in one place. Supposedly the Jets and the Packers haven't spoke in a while. That changes this week. That absolutely changes this week. Ryan says, any thought that they're planning on putting JFM inside instead of on bringing on another body in free agency? I'm not opposed to that. I like JFM on the inside. The only reason why I don't really have that as a big possibility is because they've shown that they prefer to play him on the outside. Over the last 2 years, that's where he's played primarily on the outside. Now, if you want to go back to 2020 in the Greg Williams defense, he was playing inside much more, but they like him as that edge rusher. Red John says trade picks for picks next year to get MH Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. LOL. He's a dog. I think he's going to be phenomenal. Obviously, he's not coming out in this year's draft, so nothing going on there, and you can't really get that one. But man, he's going to be a good one if they're in a spot where he could be selected next year. Absolutely. Duncan says, I think OBJ to the Eagles is most likely if they don't insult him with the offer. Don't underestimate the revenge factor. Yeah, or Dallas, right? Hasn't there been a ton of connection to him going to Dallas too? Getting back at the Giants? Why not? C. Watson saying, I'm hoping we get 42 and 43 and give Jets third pick and maybe our fifth to sixth or one of our sevens. Okay, so 42, 43, but the Jets are getting a third back this year. Okay. If that's what it was, at the end of the day, I'm not going to say no. Um, I agree that it's probably a touch on the hopeful side, and that's I think you have hoping in all caps. Um, that's not my preferred trade option, but I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's crazy out there. Yeah, that's a good question. Where do you think Connor McGovern is going to sign? How many teams really need a starting center right now? The Jets definitely need one. Uh, Pittsburgh. I saw someone mention Pittsburgh who's could be in on John Michael Schmitz, but the center market just really isn't that good right now. There really aren't too many teams that could use a center unless I'm just missing an obvious candidate, but the market's been really tough. Minnesota, right? Didn't they lose their starting center? Or do they bring him back on the cheap? I'm having a hard time remembering, but no one's really getting paid big money on the center market. So I don't know. WL says, hey, Matt, thanks for the great work. Thank you. What would you think of the Jets picking Hendon Hooker with 43 if he's available, as Crap Wilson will likely end up as best flag football player ever? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't get the Hendon Hooker love. He's an older prospect coming off of an injury in a Tennessee offense that's not really comparable to a pro offense. I don't like that fit for the Jets. I'm not his biggest fan. Um, if you wanted to go more day 3 dart throw, my day 3 guys that I like are Toon and Hayner. But yeah, I'm just not the biggest Hendon Hooker fan, to be honest with you. So I'd be against that. Bears didn't sign anybody? Okay, maybe he ends up in Chicago. They have money to spend even still. You could. If Skoronski is at 13, why not kick AVT to right tackle and put Skoronski at right guard? Mitchell backs them up, both up. Why not? You could. You could do it that way. I think he's someone with his size who could play center or center. Oh my God. Guard. Too much center talk. Guard or tackle. I think he could play tackle. And, AVT showed that he could play tackle as well. Why not? Then you're just getting your best 5 out there, however you can. Sure. Joe is the biggest Hendon Hooker supporter out there. Yeah. I don't agree, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, Cody Mock, right? I want the dude from the North Dakota State to play interior offensive line. Yeah, he's gonna have to move to guard. I don't think he's big enough to play on the outside at the next level, but he's a mauler. So he's probably gonna go, I would say, second round, second or third round would be my guess. Is Clayton Tune actually good as they say? Rumors are he's the most underrated quarterback this year. I mean, as good, we're talking about like a sixth round pick here. I don't know how much hype you could put into a guy in the sixth round, but he doesn't have the strongest arm, but he's an accurate short to intermediate passer. My guess would be that I think he has, um, like legit backup potential. Like I don't think he's someone who's going to come in and just be out of the league right away. Maybe he is. Sometimes that happens, but I think there's a chance that he could be a backup in this league. Lewis says at this point, why not have ET play at center? Yeah, that's the only spot he hasn't played at this level. Yeah, I think that's Cody, right? Doesn't Cody Malk not have teeth? Which that's such an offensive line from Dakota. Like that just makes so much sense. Cody Malk. Hang on, this draft tech chart is really slowing me down on here. I guess there's a lot of people on it. Maybe it's lagging. But yeah, I don't think Cody Mock has teeth. Nope, he's definitely missing a few. I love that. Look at this. This looks like pure offensive lineman right there. No two front teeth. He's a mauler. I love it. Do you think we still need to draft a linebacker like Overshawn in the middle rounds with Sherwood and Nasruddin waiting in the background? Thanks, Matt. I really like DeMarvion Overshawn because I think he could cover, which I'm not convinced that those guys. I think Nasruddin is really going to be a cut candidate this year. I think I'd be surprised if he makes the roster. Sherwood looked okay in a small sample size, but I think you need more there. If you want to bring back Kawan, and then if you do that, then I'll say, okay, yeah, you don't need to draft a linebacker at this point. But as of right now, I still think they need to. The Jets have kind of shown that they don't put a ton into the linebacker or safety room. I think both positions should be mid-round draft targets for this team, but I'm not convinced that the Jets view it that way. Love him. I love Jack Campbell. He's one of my favorite linebackers in this class, a tackling machine. I'm a huge Jack Campbell fan. You have him, pretty much fill in as your linebacker 3 this year, and then, you know, how much longer is CJ Mosley going to play? I know they love Quincy, but Quincy's not due a ton of guaranteed money over the next few years, so you could move off him relatively soon. But CJ, is that a long-term answer at the position? I don't think so. I like Jack a lot. What about Fred Warner, Jamie and Sherwood? Uh, yeah, I mean, he's just done it in a really small sample. He's just done it in a really small sample. So I don't know if I'm ready to say like, yeah, you're linebacker 3, 100%. If someone gets hurt, you're going to come in and play significant snaps. I think you need more depth beyond that. And if you draft someone, then sure, maybe Sherwood's your linebacker 3, and then whoever you draft is more your 4th linebacker coming in. But if you're bringing back Quan, which I mean, hey, you look at the market, there hasn't been much there for him. If he wants to take another 1-year flyer, I would do it. I'd bring him back. Linebacker out of Tulane, Dorian Williams will be a good pick in later rounds. He's been another favorite of mine in 4th or 5th round. Seems like a good spot for him to come off the board. Himley says, I love Drew Sanders' upside. He does. He has a ton of upside. That's a great point. I'd be surprised if the Jets take him where I think he's probably going to come off the board. Right? He's probably going to maybe sneaks out into the first round or or rather early second round guy. But I do like his upside. Would you approve if we traded all the way back to the mid-20s in the first for a haul and drafted JMS with that lace first? No. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, yes. Yes, I would. No, I would not be upset about that is what it would is a better way of putting it. If you're getting another second round pick, I don't know what the plan is at tackle, and that might scare me a touch, but ultimately that's I love the prospect. I love the fit. If you're getting more picks, because you're probably gonna lose some in the Rodgers trade, sure. Think we have any safety moves, free agency or the draft? They really should. I just don't want it to be Chuck Clark and um, Jordan Whitehead. I think both are very similar players. I think both are better suited as strong safeties. I think they need more of a free safety guy. Would they sign another guy? Probably not. Can they draft one? Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think they could. Jordan Battle, JL Skinner, the safety, his name is escaping me right now from Texas A&M. I think they met with during the combine. Is that Antonio Johnson? I'm sorry. His name is escaping me. Tank Dell at wide receiver. Tank Dell, if I'm thinking of the right guy, isn't he a little bit on the smaller side? I don't know how much of a fit that would be. Yeah, he's 5'8", a buck 65. Uh, his NFL comp is Darnell Mooney. Maybe he has dropped a ton of passes though. I don't. I'm not the biggest fan of his. A little undersized. Some drops are a little bit of an issue there. Um, would not be my favorite selection. Yeah, that's why I like him. Jordan Battle can play either spot, strong safety or free safety. I like him a lot. Wild Billy Boy, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Assuming you can make the money the same, would you prefer we trade a fifth for D Hop or sign OBJ? Oh, D Hop. I have a lot more faith in D Hop, even though I know he missed time this past year due to suspension, but I like DeAndre Hopkins on the outside with Garrett Wilson and Alan Lazard. That it would be really, really nice. I like that a lot. Especially at that price, a fourth or fifth round pick for D Hop. Yeah, I would do that. Good question. I've seen that one a lot before. Many will say sign OBJ, but I prefer D Hop. Julian Love signed already. He signed with the Seattle Seahawks. He's off the market. It is Antonio Johnson. That's what I thought. Yes, there you go. You could potentially sign Rap, the safety from the Rams. He's still on the market. Also, who the hell is it? He was the former safety of the Eagles. He was with the Colts the last year. Rodney McLeod, I think. There's too many names between the draft and free agency and the Rodgers stuff. I just have all these names circulating in my head and trying to pin who is actually who. I am struggling with right now. Oh yes, he absolutely he would have to rework the deal. I don't I don't think is he owed that much? No doubt you would have to rework the contract a little bit, but um, that's not uncommon. We saw the Cowboys trade for Cooks and that deal got reworked. DeAndre Hopkins. Oh yeah, base salary 19.45, 14.95 the next year. They probably would have to rework that. Yeah, that is his base. You're right. Good call. Good shout out on that, by the way. I didn't realize that, but I mean, it's not uncommon for these deals to get reworked. You could tack on void years, do whatever you got to do. But yeah, 19.45 and 14.915. You could rework it though. Don't want D-Hop teaching Garrett how to get away with PEDs hard fast. So the preference is Odell with the injuries and his off the field antics. I mean, you could neither are a choir boy. Neither of those two guys are a choir boy. I don't know how you guys remember half these names. I forget half the Jets players' names. I also forgot what the hell I went into the kitchen for. But yeah, it's there are a lot. Look, there are people who are a lot better at me even with remembering all these guys. But sometimes you'll just have these names circulating in your head. I'm like, who the? I know this name, but who the hell is that? And that's how I feel right now. But yeah, too often, right? You walk in the room and you're like, what the hell am I doing here? JL Skinner is 6'4". Wait, what? Yeah, he is absolutely, absolutely an animal. 6'4". What's the weight on him? 225? He's a big dude, flies around the field. He's one of my favorite second or third, probably third round would be my yeah, he's 6'4", 209. But I think he's someone who could start and play right away, and he hits like a beast. OBJ is coming, so it's not really a debate. Here we go. Here we go. So confident. I'm doing good. What's going on, man? How's it going? Appreciate you hanging out. NY Jet Superfan, thank you for the compliment. We have a ton of really great Jets YouTubers and content creators. There's so many good ones. I'm honored to be in that conversation. I mean, I consume everyone's, or try to at least consume everybody's content because I think we have so many good ones. I don't want to leave anybody out. So I won't, sit there and name everybody, but man, there are a ton of options if you're a Jets fan to watch people's content. Like, I don't get the people who are like get all bent out of shape with what Colin Cowherd or WFAN or ESPN radio or all these guys have to say about their team. If you don't like it, man, there are so many other options out there. That's why I love the digital space. You can find, really smart people who care about their team and have a good opinion. So thank you. That means a lot. Is the guard Connor McGovern better than the center Connor McGovern? I would think at one point the I think the guard Connor McGovern is probably better. Let's let's do a little comparison, but I think it's the guard. Well, he got signed first, so that's got to help him. Let's share this tab and pull this up. Here's guard Connor McGovern over the last couple years with Dallas. Really, 2021 is probably his best year with Dallas. It's blocking. This is blocking him, and my head is blocking some of it. But I would say guard slightly, but Duncan says at age 56, I'm lucky I remember my own name. Oh, that's fantastic. Good stuff. Thanks for the laugh. I want to trade down twice so bad, get a late first with a bunch of second and third round picks. All right. See, the one normally I'm good with that, and you're gonna have Green Bean salivating at that. I don't think this draft is crazy deep. So I put more of a value in this year's draft class at the top than I do in the mid-round stuff. But I get the logic there. Hollywood, I wish I knew the answer. How does Jet Central get those videos out that quick? I don't know. He is a magician. Him and Tigo. Talking Jets with Tigo gets him out real quick too. But they're unreal. He's unreal too. All right, I got time for a few more. I've been on for a little over an hour. Got to get ready, head out in a little bit. So I have time for a couple more in here. Ooh, Dom C. Thank you for hopping in real quick here. He says, I'm going to email you some game film from my new safety crush in the draft. Jatavius Martin from Illinois, true free safety, excellent range and run support. You'll fall in love too. Dom C, appreciate it. Make sure to follow along with Dom C, by the way. He is my go-to guy for draft prospects. He sent me a ton of stuff from the Senior Bowl when he was down there covering with Green Bean. I appreciate that, and I would love it. Thank you. Please send that along. Please send it along, Dom. Ricky says, can't wait to buy you a stealth black OBJ jersey. There we go. I'll wear it proudly. Special teams upgraded with additions of Morstead and Harmon. Joe got any takers for man? I would be stunned if he trade. Just cut him. He's a bottom 5 punter in the league. Just cut him. Move on. But if he got, hell, he got a fifth or sixth round pick for Blake Cashman. That was Insane. Yeah, good memory. Remember when Ditka gave away the Saints his whole draft for Ricky Williams? Or gave away the Saints whole draft for Ricky? Yes. Absolute insanity. But he did it. And he got his guy, and both were not on the team very much longer after that. Red John says, saw this poll earlier and couldn't choose. What team should Hopkins go to? Cowboys, Chiefs, Browns, Bills. I have my reasons why I don't want him to go to any. You can figure it out. I would say the Cowboys, get him out of the, or keep him out of the conference. The Bills, I don't want him in the same division. Chiefs, you're playing this year. Oh, well, you play all the teams this year, right? Is that your angle? That you play each one of these teams this year anyway? But I would say the Cowboys or Browns are probably path of least resistance. They love Carl Lawson. Kev's asked, why do we still have Lawson? JD looking to trade him? They really like him. I think they're operating under the assumption that he's going to be back here. I really do. I'm restructure. Why not restructure him? CJ, and there's a couple other guys that could probably get away with restructuring. All right, guys, I think that's going to do it for me on today's live stream. I appreciate you hanging out with me. I know it's a little earlier than usual. Go enjoy the rest of your Sunday. But for now, I am Matt O'Leary. I'll catch you next time. Go Jets!